an astonishing segue into our next topic, which is the pervasiveness and prominence of the right wing social media presence. This is a tweet courtesy of Media Matters, and they did a study highlighting the massive disparity between right wing creators and left wing creators. This is the graphic. As you can see, all of these massive red dots represent right wing social media people, and all of the left wing outlets are represented here by the blue people. Now, I will say this: not everybody who is labeled as right wing in this chart is overtly right wing, and we'll get into the nuance of that. Some of those people, I look at Impulsive, I look at Full Send, they are not the same style of creator as Ben Shapiro. There is a very clear distinction. They are not the same as Matt Walsh or Charlie Kirk. Same thing with Theo Von. I wouldn't say that Theo Von is an out and about conservative. He, however, represents probably like the median voter. I mean, this guy had Candace Owens and Hassan Piker on his podcast back-to-back weeks. You literally, that is literally hydrogen. No, it's actually not the meme. That's like talking to the wolf and the lamb in back-to-back weeks. Same thing with Full Send, like right-wing adjacent podcasts who practice who have the implicit biases of other right-wing creators. Now, the answer as to why right-wing media is so powerful in general is that they have a unified message. The Republican media apparatus is really effective at channeling the anger and resentment that people have towards the system at marginalized groups who have no impact on their well-being. It was black people throughout, much of the 19th and 20th centuries, all up and through, throughout slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. They were the reason why your life was shitty. It's because they were mooching off welfare. Black people in the inner cities were labeled as welfare queens when they do not take in an overwhelming majority of welfare. After that, it became gay people, immigrants, trans people. They lead their audience to believe that the reason that you have a shitty job, the reason that you have no access to join a union, the reason that you get fucked in the ass relentlessly by your insurance company is the fault of trans people and immigrants. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, they are more outright in those beliefs, whereas someone like Piers Morgan, who is on here, or Patrick Bet-David, or Full Send, they will entertain these topics without providing any rational pushback. Like, they hear that immigrants are taking jobs and they're like, oh my God, dude, did you know this? That like the immigrant took that job that pays $3.50 an hour to pick berries from a naturalized U.S. citizen? But it's spread out across the spectrum. When you get to the left side of the political spectrum, it is much more fractured in the messaging. It's actually like really hard to fucking read some of these names. So we have Trevor Noah, TYT, Brian Tyler Cohen, Breakfast Club, Hasanabi, David Pakman. All of these media entities have different styles of commentary. That's not good for overarching political messaging. these names that I just mentioned cover a large swath of the left-wing political spectrum. The Young Turks has become increasingly more reactionary in recent months. The Breakfast Club is kind of liberal commentary, I would say. David Pakman is like social democracy adjacent, kind of. I would say he is left wing, but still not an out and about anti capitalist, whereas like Hassan Piker or Kyle Kalinske are very open about the fact that they are like democratic socialists or far left, quote unquote, as they would call them. And it's because the Democratic Party as a whole does not have a coherent message. If you go to right wing politics, if you're a libertarian, if you're a constitutional conservative, if you're an evangelical, eventually your thinking leads you all to the same place. Whereas if you're on the left side of the political spectrum, if you're a liberal, if you're a soc dem, if you're a dem soc, you may not see eye to eye on the same issue. There is no ability for them to counteract right-wing messaging, or the Democrats, I should say, because when there are prominent figures who actually advocate for the things that people want in their life, they get shut out from mainstream political discourse. Hassan Piker got kicked out of the DNC for doing pro-Palestinian coverage. I've never seen Kyle Kalinske on a mainstream program like a mainstream cable news program. I've never seen Sam Seder on a mainstream cable news program, whereas Fox News, they will bring on Ben Shapiro and they will bring on Patrick Bet-David and Charlie Kirk because they know that they know that they will always be in agreement with one another. It is this visual though is very striking. But also final point. I think what frustrates me so much about this is, as I mentioned before, with the Democratic Party's ineffectiveness, the common man, the working class dude or gal, the working class guy or gal, the things that like I advocate for on this program, they want. But since they don't have it, they need someone to blame. As I mentioned, right-wingers have a clear enemy for working class people to dogpile on. The left-wing political spectrum does not, even though the reason why you don't have certain things if you live in Tuscaloosa or if you live in Appalachia, it's not because of trans people and migrants. It's because of billionaires and mega corporations. Elon Musk is more of a reason that you don't have healthcare than a migrant is. If you work at a corporation, your CEO is more of a reason for you not to have something than a migrant is. The left-wing political spectrum will never be able to combat right-wing influence until they come together and rightfully vilify the billionaires and the mega wealthy as the villains that they are.